Hey, it's another episode of the Teeing Off Golf Podcast. This is number 11. We are here on a cold, rainy day in Chicago. It's John Borneman again with Matt Harness. Matt, how's it going?
Pretty bad. And we were talking about playing golf today, and I was driving home from Glenview, and it's 43 degrees and raining. We played Monday.
Nothing says mid or late May like 43 degrees.
Well, this is one of those days where you hop on the internet and see which places are 70 degrees on May 20th. But yeah, I lived here long enough to know that this is sort of what you get. You've lived here. Our friend Aaron Hunter is with us.
Yes,
that's right.
He's lived here for a long time too, and you can't really count on playing golf in the spring here.
That's the reason I have not played golf yet this year.
That's quite an introduction, Matt. Just kind of backdoor Aaron's here in the corner. You might hear him, but
we're not professionals.
No, this is Loyola super fan Aaron Hunter here to basically just talk golf with us this week. Normally we'll have a guest come in or we'll do something pre-record some interviews, but this week. We were out at Encompass on Monday, and we're going to have the live podcast out at Rich Harvest Farms, I believe, next Wednesday. So with a little hole in the schedule here, it felt like, why not just have a more relaxed, light one where we just kind of talk golf like we might after an actual round of golf. So,
Aaron, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, glad to fill in the hole. Been friends with Matt for about 10 years or so. We met working at a little shop up in Evanston. I was in college at the time, and Matt at some point led on that he was a golf fan or former golfer. I think he played.
He's definitely a former golfer.
Well, I take credit for dragging him back.
I was
into the
sort of
game,
semi-retired.
So. Really?
Yeah.
Why would you retire?
Well, you live in the city, and it's hard to play. And I didn't really know that many people, and
Robert A. Black's a bus right away.
So that's exactly what I used to do, is take the bus to Robert A. Black. And one day I realized Matt had a car, and I wouldn't have to take the bus if I got Matt to come along. So after a lot of prodding, at some point a few years ago, we got Matt back out on the course, and it's been quite an adventure since then.
Yeah, I've kind of, I dove right back in, and I'm still swimming around the deep end there.
And of course, as you were saying with the weather, I have not yet played this year. It's been about 7 months of weather like this, so
that's nuts.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, what we wanted to do first off today is discuss kind of the most recent golf tournament, which is the Wells Fargo. Rory McIlroy finishing at 21 under. That, of course, at 61 in round 3 is what won the tournament for him, which was just kind of an amazing round. I think do you know who had the previous tournament record of 16 under par?
Rory?
No, Anthony Kim, who probably doesn't even play golf anymore.
Right, that's how he went the way of being retired for a little while.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he needs a friend to bring him back into golf, but yeah.
I will be that friend if Kim needs me.
I hear rumors that he lives somewhere in the Dallas area, so maybe Jordan Spieth brings him back.
I mean, he could. I don't think Anthony should play with Jordan, though.
It makes him feel too bad.
I think that'd probably be an unrealistic expectation for him. But, yeah, so Rory, and I think so what we wanted to just talk about is Rory already at age, 26, among the best golfers of all time? He certainly probably, he has a case, so.
Yeah, why not? I mean, this was his 11th win before his 26th birthday. I think it was the day before his 26th birthday, or very close. Only other players in history with 10 or more wins before 26, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. Okay. And Rory, 4 of those are major championships. So, yeah, I think you start putting him in that conversation. If he is playing his best, nobody beats him. Well, and he's like like Tiger Woods. Right. When Tiger Woods is playing his best, nobody's beating him.
And we were at Encompass Championships Media Day on Monday. Tom Lehman was there, the defending champion, and someone asked him about Rory's most recent round, and he said he thinks he's where Tiger was, where if he plays his best, forget about it. It's over. It's done. He's winning. Which, I mean, he's finished 21 under. Second place was 14, so that's 7 shots this week, which is sort of like 2 tournaments. You know, what was Rory going to do and what was everybody else going to do? And we talked about on the podcast 2 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, the rush to sort of build up this Rory versus Jordan being a little bit premature, and I think that's just showing itself. Golf wants that so bad. They're going to have to settle for the first guy to legitimately bring comparisons to Tiger Woods, which is Rory. I mean, it's not Rory and Jordan yet. Jordan's on the rise. He's going to be a great player, I'm sure. But for now, you just have basically Rory not quite being Tiger. I don't think anybody will get back to peak Tiger, but he's the guy who at least can make you think about it.
Let's ask Aaron. I mean, do you think this is good for golf to have a player like Rory when he's on to win by so much? I mean, do you think that dynasty, so to speak, is good for the game?
Well, I think so. It's exciting to watch a guy have a chance to shoot 59, which Rory did, and I think it was on that Saturday. And just as an example of how dominant he can be, there was a 514-yard par 4, I think 16 or 17, and he drove it, cut over the trees in the middle of the fairway and had 140 left for his second shot. So, I mean, seeing things like that is kind of fun. But on the other hand, you had what Rory himself said, which he was bored on the back nine.
Right.
He said that kind of comment. I don't think
Webb
CBS
Simpson felt playing with it.
Well, that's like how Tiger used to talk about not winning with his, not having his A game and still winning. I mean, that's that kind of confidence, I think, or to be coming down the stretch and think, God, how many holes are left? Like, I'm hungry. I'd like to get some dinner.
Yeah. You just marvel at a guy that can play that well.
I was gonna say, poor Webb Simpson for being a part of a boring round for McIlroy.
Yeah.
Doesn't even register as competition.
Not
He's
much,
like, who's this guy that keeps hitting the ball behind me?
Doesn't say much for how fun Webb Simpson is to stand on a tee with, But yeah, I saw this tweet as I was coming in. So active players with more wins than Rory right now. The list, and I'm just trusting this guy on Twitter. I don't know who it was, but Tiger, Phil, VJ, Davis Love, Ernie Els, Jim Furyk, David Duval, which does he count as an active player?
No.
David Toms, Justin Leonard, Steve Stricker. So that's it. That's the full list.
David Toms.
Yeah, which that's maybe surprises me a little bit.
What's the average age of that group?
It's getting up there. Rory has got to be at least 12 years younger. 10, 12 years younger than anybody else on that list. His number is 11 PGA Tour, 11 European Tour, and I don't know if they're going to count a couple other ones in there.
That's the other thing about Rory, I think, is that he goes away for weeks at a time to play in Europe. So I think that makes it a little bit hard sometimes for the American golf fan to latch onto him, even though when you do see him dominate the field, he's an engaging character for sure. And he's a Georgia grad, I think, isn't he, Matt? Does that explain?
I think so.
Are you guys adopting him?
I think so, yeah. He is now an honorary Georgia.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's fair. Do you guys think he's going to win a major this year?
Yes.
Which one?
I'll say U.S. Open.
I think
he's playing well, and it's a course that, from what I've heard some stuff being said on the radio and read, it's if you drive the ball well, which that's his strength of his game, he just shortens that course, to probably not. There's to 9 irons and pitching wedges, and that sets him up on Saturday. Mm-hmm. They said he had maybe 10 birdie putts of 9 feet or less.
Right.
Makes the game a little bit easier when you can do that. So I'll take him. I mean, his odds have already gone down. I think the last time we talked about his odds, maybe 2 weeks ago, they were 7 or 8. Like it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We talked to Barry last week, but they were 7 or 8 to 1. They're already down to 4.5 to 1.
Yeah.
I mean, people are throwing money at him.
If I was going to give him, pick one, I'd say he's going to win the U.S. Open. Seems like he's playing really well. Match play win. He wins the Wells Fargo. That's the next thing coming up. I think he'll still be in his top form. And you mentioned his driving. I think that's another reason why it's good for the game of golf, because I think he plays a style that is easy for casual fans to get behind. I mean, he's going all out. He's bashing the ball in the middle of the fairways. Right, and then he hits it close, makes putts. I mean, That's a style that people like to watch.
So sort of the anti-Furyk.
Right, exactly. No one wants to see continuing the podcast tradition of hating on Jim Furyk. My brother gives me crap about that. Like we're hating on poor Jim Furyk, which we are not.
I said he should be a Hall of Famer.
Right, exactly. Well, I mentioned the comparisons to Tiger as Tiger was sort of coming into his own early in his career. Do you think anyone ever reaches? Do you think Rory reaches that peak Tiger ability? Aaron, what do you think?
Well, I think in his past year, or in the past calendar year, I think he's started in 24 tournaments and won 7 times, and has been in the top 5 13 times or something like that. I'm getting these stats from the worldwide leader. But, I mean, that's the kind of dominance that Tiger, that we saw from Tiger in the early 2000s.
So you're saying yes?
I would say yes.
So he gets to 14.
Sure. He's well on the way.
So the
I would have to pick him for one this year as well. I mean, why you'd be crazy not to pick him to win one.
Some unpredictability is, I do think Rory, like Tiger, has a sense of history and would like to be, included in that legendary status when he's said and done. But these days, I mean, with how he plays and his, his bigger physical fitness, injuries. I don't think he's had a serious injury yet. But also, money. I mean, these guys make so much money that if they maybe stop winning, I mean, do they just get, hey, I can do other things? But I do think he wants to chase after history. But also, I mean, golf is as deep as it's ever been. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I mean, we don't know. We always said, when's that next Tiger coming up? Well, it maybe turned out that Rory is the next Tiger just a little bit later, so he doesn't rival Tiger, but maybe there's a Rory that's 17 years old right now. Golf is so deep that, I mean, it's hard to win major championships. I would say no, because that's 10 more major titles.
I think Tiger busted into the PGA Tour and completely changed the game. I think he got off to such a fast start and was so far ahead of everyone.
It took him a while to catch up.
It took everybody a while to catch up, and he changed the game so completely that I just don't think that it's possible for anyone to get that big of an edge anymore. I don't think you can come in and have as big of a mental edge and as big of a physical edge as he did early in his career, or in around the 2000 era. I don't think those advantages exist anymore. I just don't think you can. You can get these very tiny edges, and it translates into a lot of wins, but I don't think it translates into that level of dominance.
So the one that he hasn't won is the Masters, and I think he wins a few of those.
That seems to be one that sets up well for him. He's been knocking on the door. He'll win 2 or 3 or 4. I mean,
right. So I say 10. He gets to 10. But with the way Ricky Fowler played at the Players Championship, I mean, he plays like that, and the way he played at the majors last year, I mean, he's gonna be tough to beat.
Right.
Week in and week out. And Jordan Spieth is a great player as well. I mean, there's just a lot of young,
you've just
talented
seen
players
with Tiger too how quickly the years could go by if some things just start to go a little bit wrong. You get an injury here, a couple lost chances there. It starts to stack up. It's not always as easy as these guys make it look.
I know that the hamster is turning in Aaron's head because we had a $5 bet how long ago?
I think it was a few years
when he got his 14th major. Aaron bet me $5 that he wouldn't get to 18, and I couldn't bet fast enough. And that's what happens. I mean, he hasn't won a major since 2008.
Yeah, you certainly had history on your side for that.
So I'm still holding out hope. I'm not giving up my $5 just yet.
Well, technically, until he's dead, he could come back and sign up and win a U.S. Open.
That was
he can't play the U.S. Open indefinitely, but he can play the Masters.
Well, he can play the Masters forever, but he could always qualify every year until he doesn't go in to try to get in the sectional qualifying.
Or when his handicap index goes up to past 1.4.
Maybe just, okay, fine. Then you can rule him out of that. But yes, the Masters you'll have until they write him a letter telling him, please don't come back here.
I'm pretty sure that letter is, they deleted that document when Charles Cootie
said,
I'm not coming back anymore. Don't worry about it.
Yes. Unless anybody's got anything else to say on Rory, I think maybe we'll move on.
So
to
we're in agreement that
golf headlines.
He went to Georgia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the purposes of the podcast, you know what? I want you to tell him next time if you interview him, at the BMW or something. Ask him about his Georgia days and see what he says to you.
I'll just give him a hat. That's all you need. It's as good as a diploma.
Right. Well, yeah. Perhaps worth more from Georgia. Who Chip Beck said the Yale,
it's the Harvard of the South,
and he said that the journalism program at Georgia is better than Yale's. Yeah. So if anyone can dispute that, I've read Matt's stuff, so I can dispute it. But
wow. Well, this week is the Colonial. I don't know, it's Crown Plaza Invitational now, but it's played at Colonial Country Club, which was Ben Hogan's old stomping ground, and Adam Scott is the defending champion. The field, we all are in a fantasy golf league together, and looking at the field, it's not thin. Great. It's thin.
I'm surprised. I always assume that it's like. It's not on the same level, I guess, as Jack's tournament certainly, but I thought that more people would play just because of the
it's an old classic golf course, and the Byron Nelson suffered sort of the same fate. I mean, he was a big time legend, and nobody plays in that tournament either. It's kind of sad that some of these tournaments are not getting the star power that they probably deserve.
Because I know where you're going with this. I think a lot of it is just the calendar and the schedule.
Yeah,
and people know the U.S. Open is coming up, and they want to prep, but now is the time where they can take a week off and feel like they don't lose anything, just rest.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, you're coming off, the Masters, the match play, the Players Championship, Wells Fargo has become a big tournament. So yeah, I mean, guys have to take rest at some point. I mean, I know Jordan Spieth
is a guy who probably deserves some rest, but he's still going out there, and which I assume is because he's sort of a honorary, a host probably. It's in Texas. Jordan Spieth.
Well, he took last week off.
Oh, he took last week off. I was gonna say, his game seemed like it needed some time off, but so he'll be down there. He's the big name that's down there.
He's the biggest name,
right?
Adam Scott, Jordan Spieth's the biggest name. Adam Scott,
as well as the defending champ, Adam Scott, which is a guy who we wanted to talk about this week because of some comments that he made regarding
last week.
Regarding it was last week. Regarding golf's return to the Olympics after. How many years? I don't even know. I don't remember. A long time. I don't remember golf ever being in the Olympics. So
me neither. And so, just so it's 2016 in Rio de Janeiro. I think the golf course is still being built. But
we'll use it for a parking lot.
Probably will. But Adam Scott comes out and here's the quote he said. Whether I win an Olympic medal or not is not going to define my career or change whether I've fulfilled my career. It's nothing I've ever aspired to do or don't think I ever will. It's all about the 4 majors, and I think that's the way it should stay for golf. I agree.
Yeah, no, I mean, and two, we talked about the fact that, he's definitely going to be one of the Australians they want to have play.
Him and Jason Day.
Jason Day, they picked 2 people per country. Jason Day is, I think, number 8 in the world or something like that. Adam Scott just slid outside the top 10. He's right outside it. But the next guy is John Senden. He's barely inside the top 50. So it's it's going to be
certainly Australia doesn't want to send John Senden.
Right, it's going to be Day and Adam Scott. And he says one of his other quotes was, "I'm planning my schedule around playing majors the best I can. If I can fit going to the Olympics into that might be a bit of fun. Then lucky me if I qualify." You're gonna qualify, all right. But if I'm not going to miss it. That's for sure.
So I agree. I mean, golf has never considered the Olympics a big deal, and now they're trying to sort of manufacture this as a big tournament for these players who already play the 4 majors, the Players Championship, Ryder Cup, President's Cup. There's too many big tournaments for these players to get psyched about. Why should they care about the Olympics? It's, as we said earlier, if you're a swimmer, the Olympics is the biggest deal. Track and field, same thing. Winter, you got the skiing. And Aaron, what do you think?
Well, it's my first time on a podcast, so maybe someone is supposed to crush Adam Scott for these comments, but I don't think I can either. I mean, I don't see why the guy needs to feel like all of a sudden winning a gold medal is the number one capstone on his career for a guy who's had the success he's had. And like we said, golf has not been an Olympic sport for a while. They play for their country in other tournaments. Why should the Olympics be another professional golf tournament?
If you were to say this, I know he's in Australia, but if you were, a European or American golfer saying the same thing about the Ryder Cup, or if he said this about the President's Cup, which is, I think, Australia plays in that, right? Yeah, I could see a little more outrage about it, getting irritated, because those are events. The President's Cup, less
I was going to say, frankly,
the President's Cup. I know. I don't really. I don't think that's a big deal. That necessarily that big a deal. It's the Ryder Cup, really. I just was trying to relate it to Australia, but. If a U.S. player came out and said that about the Ryder Cup, if it was Hunter Mayhew, I would say, see you later.
What about Jim Furyk?
Right, Jim Furyk. You know what? That's great. I don't feel like you have to play. But yeah, those are events, the Ryder Cup, that is rooted in golf history, much more so than, just throwing it into the Olympics and expecting, I think it'll be something that fans would like to watch. I would watch golf in the Olympics.
I'd watch golf.
I'd be very interested to watch it, but I'm not. I will understand the reasons why players wouldn't necessarily want to be there, and I wouldn't. And if someone lost an Olympic match in the United States, I certainly wouldn't think, wow, this is what a black mark against their legacy.
I mean, I think Adam Scott maybe was a little harsh about. I think they don't maybe mind playing in it. It's just if they don't win, it shouldn't be considered such a bad thing, because they're just not putting all of that. And it's coming in the schedule. It's right in between. Is it between the British Open and PGA, or is it right after the PGA?
Probably in August.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, because the PGA has been moved up to accommodate that. I think the PGA Championship is in the end of July that year.
Is that right?
I think so. I don't think it's interrupting the schedule. And now, if it was interrupting the schedule, that would be a serious issue, but I believe the Olympics, it's early in August.
So I'm looking here at the official
5 through 21 of August.
The World Golf Rankings, and I believe that's when they take it from that. So the top two Americans right now are Jordan Spieth and Bubba Watson, who I'm not sure has a valid passport or is allowed in South America.
Well, why don't you think that?
You know who Bubba Watson is, right?
Yes.
Okay, he went to Georgia.
Well, he's played in the British Open, hasn't he? How did he get there?
He may have turned in his passport voluntarily. I'm just not sure that. Yeah. I would love to hear what Bubba Watson thinks about the Olympics.
So is it only two players per country?
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I don't know. If Jordan Spieth said, I don't want to play in the Olympics, I don't care. If he made these comments, I would probably say, that's fine.
Yeah, right.
I don't really care either.
It's hard to get very outraged. I'm sure there would be a certain segment of the population that would, but
I guarantee Jimmy Walker would love to play in the Olympics.
Oh,
yes, let him play.
Absolutely.
Matt Kuchar.
Oh yeah, Kuchar would smile his way to a lot of double bogeys in Olympics play.
He's got what it takes.
He does.
Who would be the favorite? The favored country in the Olympics. Look at you got the world rankings up. I mean, it would be just
Northern
whoever's
Ireland.
got Rory, Northern Ireland. They've got Rory and Graham McDowell.
Whoever else.
Graham McDowell.
You have Rory and some guy shooting 80-80. And they still might.
Well, yeah, bro. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's Graham McDowell that's next. I mean, Graham McDowell's 35th.
Okay.
There's not that many
There's
Northern.
No one from England? It's a UK team, though, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right.
Yeah.
So they did bunch it up. So Justin Rose.
That's a pretty good team.
That's a very good team.
That team's tough to beat, yeah. What is Bubba in the world ranking?
4.
All right, well, so that means 2 and 4, right, for the U.S. That's not.
Furyk's sitting there at 5.
Boy,
God, I hope Bubba keeps his lead over him.
You can feel what a huge gap it is between number 1 and everyone else.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of. I mean, England is the next country that has a cluster of players in the top 30. I mean, Ian Poulter somehow is 31st in the world.
He must be cashing checks somewhere.
I mean, that must be a sort of a Floyd Mayweather sort of scamming the system. He just sits there and plays in a bunch of tournaments and finishes top 20
to
get world ranking points. But yeah, I mean, I did think it was somewhat interesting that a name player like Adam Scott has already poo-pooed the Olympics. 14 months before it even happens. I can't imagine. I think this was sort of Tim Fincham's baby. I can't imagine he's too thrilled that a guy of his stature is already bashing this, and it could put ideas in other players' heads and say, you know what, he's right. I'm going to say the same thing.
That'll be interesting. Now that someone has said it, whether that becomes the prevailing sentiment on tour, it'll be whether more people start to talk. I mean, it's still a ways out, but it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Well, why don't we, go and talk about? I mean, the U.S. Open is next month. Probably, is it less than a month away now? It's Father's Day weekend. So who do we've already said all like Rory?
I like Rory, and I can even give you who I think is going to finish second, which is Phil. I think he'll finish second in the next 5.
Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
Wow.
Has he finished in the top 2 before?
At the U.S. Open? Yeah, and he played well. He played relatively well at Wells Fargo, right?
Do you take away the 18th
He was
hole?
second. Yeah, well, he was
sort of Vandeveld the 18th hole a few times.
Right.
So I know it was sort of off the subject, but speaking of Vandeveld,
this is exciting.
We are going to get to see John Vandeveld, the Frenchman who comically blew the British Open back in.
Oh God, no! I don't even know.
Some year, 10 years ago or so, where he famously pulls up his trousers and jumps in a river to try and hit a ball. So anyway, he is the captain of the European Palmer Cup team, which is going to be at Rich Harvest Farms June 12th to 14th. And when John texted me that Vandeveld was a captain, you should have seen the smile that came across my face, because that's awesome.
Oh, it's going to be great.
And we joked, we said, what advice, can John Vandeveld give a team?
Right.
And John said,
I say he's going to tell everybody to wrap up the matches on the 17th round, on the 17th hole for sure. Get it done before 18. Don't even worry about that. And that was the 1999 Open Championship. Do you remember who benefited from?
Gosh, was that Paul Lawrie?
That was Paul Lawrie.
I'll say the Wikipedia picture for John Vandeveld is him standing in the woods.
It's not even him in the creek. He's actually wearing his pants, but yes, still standing among trees in knee-high grass.
Oh, and we can only hope that. I know the assistant captain for the Palmer Cup has already been announced, but we're hoping maybe he brings Victor Dubuisson along.
I mean, I wonder if, have we ever heard about Dubuisson talking about whether he was molded in any way by Vandeveld? He certainly hits it in some of the similar situations. He's just a little better getting out of it, it seems like.
Yeah, but it seems to have been, I guess, proven that he's no good on non-desert.
Well, right. Yeah, he excels only on desert courses. But yes, this is a massive aside, but it is exciting that we'll get to talk to him.
And segue right into the British Open. Who wins the British Open at St Andrews, the old course?
Did Aaron agree that Rory's going to win the US Open?
I wouldn't pick Rory. I think I was looking at the odds. I don't know if we have the same sources or not, but Rory at 4-1 or 5-1.
Well, so you're trying to make money, or you're trying to pick a winner?
Well, I'm trying to make money.
Okay,
I don't know what you guys are
that's fine. That's fair. I mean, that's fair. Like,
I would certainly place a bet on Rory, and if he wins, that would cover the longer shots that I would take.
So then, who's your long shot?
Well, I mean, even Spieth, I think, is 10-1. Dustin Johnson is 22-1. Adam Scott's 22-1.
I'm talking about make next month's.
If I were going to pick
a long shot,
I would take Jimmy Walker.
Oh,
42-1.
I have Jimmy at 45-1.
I'll use your website then.
You know what? That's for a long shot.
I like Patrick Reed better than Jimmy Walker.
Yeah,
I already took Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed better than Jimmy Walker, I think, if you're going to take guys up in the 40-1 area.
So, but the way it works out with so much favoritism on Rory, there's a lot of opportunities.
Oh yeah.
If you're into this kind of thing for entertainment purposes.
I see you have Brandon de Jong on your list.
I wrote him down because he was at the bottom. I was felt like he might be a Matt Harness favorite.
209-1.
Wow,
it's worth $1.
So way down this list, and I was talking to Aaron about this earlier. So I'm working on a story about the Palmer Cup, and Ali Schneiderjans is a player at Georgia Tech who I supposed to be talking to very soon. He is actually listed on the U.S. Open odds here. He is 1,000 to 1.
Ask him if he likes
that.
For
comparison purposes, Luke Donald is 110 to 1. I would take Ali Schneider's.
Ask yourself who has a better chance to win.
Well, they have the same chance, which is none.
By the way, I
think fair.
I haven't heard you guys talk about this, but I think podcast favorite Nick Hardy is in the qualifying process. I believe.
Yeah, he made it through a round. Yeah, he shot
qualifying.
He shot 69.
Look at Aaron
Flossmore.
Sort of breaking news over here.
Scoops.
Right. We sometimes I think we just ignore Nick so that it's not like we talk about him every week on the podcast. But yeah,
I'm sure there are many other local golfers who I haven't.
I did see that. And Illinois, qualified out of their regional for the.
Yes,
for
the national tournament, which starts May 29th. So they take a week off. They're off this week, and then it's down in Florida. Next week, yes, Illinois won their regional, so they'll be one of the favorites to win.
Did you know? Did Alabama end up getting through that? Because I know they were sitting in last on the first day.
I'd have to look that up. Georgia made it.
Great, that's awesome. Thank you. So back to while you looked that up.
I believe Alabama did make it.
I know they were sitting in last, but things changed pretty quickly, and when you have that many guys on the course. So British Open, old course. I've got Tiger.
Wow, you stole it. I was going to take Tiger.
Well, I mean, he's the pick at the old course, always, still.
I'm going to take Fowler.
Take Fowler?
The other one I would have taken is, I know it's not a popular pick or one likely for me, but Sergio.
I got Sergio second at that British Open.
All right, I'll take Sergio then.
And that would be a great final day if it's Tiger Sergio final round, if it's close at all.
I'm starting to soften on Sergio.
You really are. This is incredible.
The way his stance is
such a shell of a man now.
So, yeah, I would like to. I've seen what happens when he loses these.
Right.
Now I want to see what happens if he wins one.
Yeah, it is. He's certainly kind of come around because it went from you just a guy who was easy to just sort of write off and dislike to now, when he loses, he's just like, that's the way it goes.
He had that sort of infamous Masters press conference where he just sort of conceded that he's never going to win a big golf tournament.
Right. And it
was kind of sad.
And for a while, it seemed like, he was blaming outside forces, golf gods type stuff for his losses. Now it just seems like he says he's too terrible to win, which is actually sort of endearing.
He's someone that I would like to watch win, I think. I kind of agree with you guys. I like him now, but I really feel like he would be genuinely excited and show emotion if he won. And that's something that Matt and I talked about, which, Ricky Fowler wins his biggest tournament and, just kind of makes the putt, tips his cap. Other guys, when they make a 40-foot putt, you just get a little doff of the cap. I would like to see, and I know Tiger, people didn't react necessarily positively to the emotion that he showed on the course, but I would like to see a lot more of that. Just as a fan watching golf.
A Brandy Chastain moment, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scoring the goal, taking the shot.
John
Daly?
I think it has a lot to do with, first of all, the shot that is made to win a tournament or how much you're up at the time.
Often not
if you're just tapping it in, it's hard to then, you just sort of look ridiculous going crazy. And I think there's you see the trend, too, in, I don't know, NBA buzzer beaters this playoffs. You've seen players just sort of glare at the crowd or act like they've been there before.
There's still a celebration.
There is still
when you're on an island green and you tap it in, and you just stand there. It looks a little goofy.
I think what you have to accept is that if these guys are going to have these outward displays of jubilation, they're also going to have these displays of anger, like Tiger does.
I don't mind
which
that
exactly you have to. If you sign up for the emotional swings, that's great. Just don't cry about the children when Tiger swears at one of them.
I can relate
or throws
to
a
that.
club. So
I like that.
Don't get upset when if Rory throws his 8-iron into the lake. He's gonna that's that's the trade-off you make. But
yeah, I would love to see Sergio win the British Open and ride the bull around the 18th green at St. Andrews.
Right. I mean, it'd be nice. Let's hope that it's that and not Bubba Watson just starting to just weep.
Well, yes, that is also a display of emotion.
So Alabama, the defending champ, did not make.
Oh wow, two-time defending champ.
Yeah, did not make it
through.
Which I'm sure that's.
And they were in Illinois regional, weren't they?
Yeah. Regional. It looks as though they played their best round in round 3. But didn't make it.
Okay.
Not sure.
Did Jason Duffner play at
Auburn?
Oh, Auburn. Oh,
okay.
Terrible mistake by me.
Yeah. So PGA Championship.
He may be done.
Tough few weeks for Alabamans.
Duffner's, yeah. I don't know if he's coming back.
I mean, he was in the conversation last year about one of the top American players, and he just disappeared. Literally and figuratively.
Yes.
His game went away with his LBs.
It's possible if he gained the weight back, he would return to his former self. But
yeah, I mean, maybe not.
I mean, he's always been such a poor putter. I think that he has had to just, sometimes he gets hot with the irons and he stuffs everything. And he makes a reasonable number of 5-footers because of that herky-jerky putting stroke of his. But
so that and then brings us his major was the PGA,
right? Yeah.
So now we're at Whistling Straits. I'm going to go with Dustin Johnson.
Same here. You stole my pick. The redemption.
That's a good one. I didn't even think about that.
I'm going to we have Kerry Haig's business card, and when Dustin wins, I'm going to give him Kerry Haig's business card. And
you know what would be funny is if we have his business card, and I'm guessing his cell phone number is on there. If you just periodically text him during the week, be like, "Did Dustin ground his club there? Did he touch that sand bunker?"
So it's back at Whistling Straits, which is in Kohler, Wisconsin. Third time. 2004, maybe?
Yeah, that's right.
VJ
Keimer, and was it Keimer?
Keimer won it. Yeah, Keimer benefited from.
Yeah, right.
So Dustin Johnson, if you don't know, we talked about it last week, but he was leading by a stroke going into the 72nd hole, hits it into one of these 1,000 bunkers that's been trampled on by fans. In not excusing him because players were given these sheets that talked about these are all. Hazards. But at the same time, I mean, they had to clear fans out of this thing. So he grounds his club, makes bogey, but gets then penalized 2 strokes for the triple bogey, drops him all the way to 5th place.
And wasn't Bubba also very close in that tournament? Bubba was in that conversation.
I think Bubba drove on into the lake on one of the last
holes. That sounds like Bubba.
If I remember correctly.
That Dustin Johnson pick is a good one, though. I didn't even think about him. I had written down Jason Day with Ricky Fowler finishing second again in another major. But Bubba was second, and that must have been a playoff because he finished in regulation tie T11.
That's right,
So, when we had Zach Johnson tied third with Rory McIlroy, Jason Duffner tied fifth.
I mean, Rory's a great pick there, too. Well, I mean, he's a great pick.
Always, yes.
All year long. You know what? It's a stretch to say, or maybe it's not a stretch to say, he's going to be the favorite every week. But to win, I don't know. I wonder if there's odds for Rory winning the final 3 majors. I'd put a few bucks on that. I mean, I don't. If he's playing as well as he did last week, no one's beating him. And the U.S. Open's the wild card. No one's played at Chambers Bay, so we don't know exactly how that's going to set up. But St. Andrews is a bomber's golf course. I mean, Tiger Woods seems like wins there every time he tees it up. And McIlroy hits the ball off the tee better than Tiger ever did.
Mm-hmm.
And
certainly
so
better than he does
blow
now.
it off
So,
these. I mean, he's going to turn that into a wedge. And
if his driver's on that week, he'll be extremely tough to beat.
And then Whistling Straits. I mean, it's going to be super long. I mean, I think that golf course is 7,700 yards, and when you hit the ball that far, I mean,
right. So if that happens, I can go ahead and shut up about nobody reaching peak Tiger level because if he wins the last 3 majors, then that would be that.
Right. In fact, I mean that's a good question. If he wins the final 3 majors of the year, is that one of the greatest seasons of all time? I mean, I know it's in theory
certainly. Yes,
but the length of that course plays for a Bubba Watson and a Dustin Johnson.
Well, Bubba will be too busy sulking. As soon as he gets to...
I'll tell you what, Rory hits it farther than those two guys.
Yeah. As soon as he gets across the ocean, he'll be complaining about some such thing. Bubba, there's no chance.
Yeah, he talks himself out of a lot of tournaments.
He's probably already begun telling his caddy that he has no chance to win.
And it's his caddy's fault.
Right, yeah. During tournament, there's no way. But, I think we're probably about ready to wrap it up for this week. But I think one thing we wanted to go on real quick is, this may be a one-week feature. Perhaps it's a recurring feature. It depends on the man himself. But we're going to go John Daly Tweet of the Week, because I only recently found out that he was on Twitter, one, because I was looking up things about the fact that he came to be a guest bartender for the White Sox a couple weeks ago, which when we talked about the ridiculousness of that.
Did we get any reports on that?
I don't know how it went. I need to look up videos of how well that his resulting then first pitch went. But I also found out because he had tweeted that ESPN is doing a 30 for 30 documentary about him, which is going to be appointment viewing.
Must-see TV.
You need to see that. I will probably buy that documentary and watch it, every year. But I found out that that he's got a Twitter feed
at PGA _ John Daly.
Right. And what did we decide? We decided the tweet of the week. It was down between two. One of the tweets was a photo of his son who had won a junior tournament, U.S. Kids Golf Junior Tournament, and it was a photo of his son setting the regional record score for 11-year-olds, but his son has his face blurred out in the picture. Now, John didn't bother to blur out the faces of any of the other children standing on the podium. There's 3 other kids there.
Well, how many days ago, so people can look this up?
This is May 17th, PGA _ John Daly tweeted this.
Oh, that was Sunday. Okay.
Right, so that's
4 kids and an adult.
4 kids and an adult.
Of the caddy
but there's the blurred face kid. I think his last name is Daly, and he made 2 eagles apparently. So that was good. But that was not the John Daly Tweet of the Week. Matt, what do we got for John Daly Tweet of the Week?
Well, that was the funniest one. This one might be a little more disturbing. So his one, I don't have it up. It was 5 days ago. So
May 15th.
So May 15th, which was a Friday, says, met some new friends for lunch at Twin Peaks in Irving, Texas. Wow, they have awesome food. At Twin Peaks, hashtag. And we've talked about what this next phrase, chicken frieds to great. But the reason why this is sort of relevant is, Aaron, maybe fill everybody in.
Of course, the tragic biker gang shootout at the Twin Peaks
in Waco, lot. I think.
Wow.
In Waco, Texas.
Not too far away.
So John Daly, a mere, 1 day, 2 days prior to that,
I like
hanging out at Twin Peaks with 8 of their waitresses and hostesses.
I like that he tried to tag Twin Peaks and just tagged at Twin, whose name is Jose Castillo, and he lives in Queens, New York, and almost certainly does not own that Twin Peaks restaurant. And yeah, your guess is as good as mine as to what chicken fried sta great means. I think it's chicken friends are great, but that's just me.
John, as we talked with Barry last week, John Daly can't turn 50 fast enough.
We need him for the Champions Tour. That would be amazing. But yeah, that should just about do it, unless you guys have anything else for episode 11 of the Teeing Off podcast. We will go to Greenpilot, which I just learned before we went on, started recording. Aaron is the reason why we have this song from Greenpilot,
right.
basically.
Shout out to Tim Killeen.
Yeah.
Loyola University.
Tim Killeen, Aaron's friend, who then became Matt's friend, and let us use the music. So I'm John Borneman, John _Borneman on Twitter, Matt Harness at Harness Preps. Aaron, what's your Twitter handle?
At Aaron, AARON _Hunter.
So if you care about Loyola sports, which you almost certainly don't, you can follow him for that. But yep, until next time, here is Greenpilot.
And I'm trying hard to recall the jump I saw at the outset. Oh, a big on a wave and a storm is coming. We need to be safe, God please send into something. Damned if this ain't gonna change my mind about falling in love for another time. And it's all that I have to remember you by. But the end of the love's not the end of